Welcome, everyone, and welcome back to our live stream on Tuesdays. Louis, how are you?
Hey JP, well and yourself?
Great, thank you. Great, thank you. How was your week?
Yeah, it's been hectic, but
We're on
but
Tuesday, and it feels like it needs to be
yeah,
Friday.
well,
Mm,
it's a good kind of hectic. So
That's great.
yeah, all good.
That's great.
Thanks.
That's great. So, guys, last week we spoke about our new program that's called Power Up. That's something that we launched in Klerksdorp, but we are busy expanding to other avenues online. So, we had our very first a workshop about identity, and we are going to share this workshop with you guys as part of our rollout. Me and Louis will be talking about identity today to try and just share with you what we have and why identity is important. Um, I think it's something that we all at some point needs to revisit a little bit and see what's happening with our identity. Are we still aligned? Louis, do you have anything to say before we start with this section?
Yeah, this power up that we are doing as a collaboration. It's about having a healthy spirit, soul, and body. And so we're going to go into detail over a period of a year. We're going to drill down into detail with all those subjects. And the reason why we start with identity is because it's the foundation. So if we can start with a good foundation, we can build on top of that. And I must say the workshop was very good. I learned a lot myself, JP.
The same, Louis. Same, Louis. Even we know a lot of these things, but when you teach them and you listen to what the people that attend speak and say and mention, it's always something. There's always something to learn. We're never too old, and we never know everything. And it's always great to see and hear and learn from other people. Yeah, cool. So we could start with our presentation. So the first one is identity and the self. So your identity isn't found, it's something that is practiced. Um, and you shouldn't put a label on it. So it's about who you return to when you're under pressure. So your identity is what happens when you start feeling pressure and you're experiencing that pressure. Louis, you had a great analogy on Saturday. I would like you to share it with the
Yes.
people.
Yeah, I just think that when we are under pressure, we are squeezed. And to use the example of, if you squeeze a lemon, then you get lemon juice. And so, if you squeeze a believer or a Christian, you need to get Jesus out of that.
Yes,
You need to get the characteristics of the fruit of the spirit, which we also mentioned. And
yes,
so that will show what character has been created within you, and you find your identity in the one that created you. So, the Lord says that we are set apart, we are holy, we are created in God's image, and we are created for a purpose and a plan.
that's true. That's very, very, very true. So your nervous system chooses familiar over correct. So for us, in starting with our identity, let's first look at what the nervous system does. So the nervous
Mm.
system has a default behavior, which is not your true intention a lot of the times. It's just the default. It's the program that you've installed over and over again by what you think or what you experience or what your values are. So when you try and change something like your way of thinking, your body often signals that as unsafe. And because it's unfamiliar, it's not something that it's used to, it's not the default program that we run. So to shift identity, we need to train the body to feel safe while it's doing this new thing. This sounds really straightforward and easy, and I can just start a new thing. But when you start a new thing, it's difficult. Like if you decide you want to start playing guitar, for example, you don't just take the guitar and you start playing it. Even though you want to, and even though you can see yourself playing the guitar, you can't just do it. And then there's all of a sudden this experience of fear and like, oh shucks, am I? will I be able to even like play ABC? You know, but it's unfamiliar, and then it gets unsafe. And the moment we get that unsafe feeling, we go back to default, like the normal reaction that we used to have, and that's where we need to start becoming more conscious. In like, okay, is this what I want, and is this how I want to feel and react in a situation, and or am I going to change it now and actively start changing that? So there is a solution in this, and we're going to get this to this part a little bit later, and that's how we build like a 2-minute proof, and that 2-minute proof is something that you're going to keep on doing to install that new program that you're trying to install, to override the old, let's say, autopilot. So looking at your life right now, this is just a baseline check. This is something that all the viewers can do, and just think about this and find this space. So on a scale of 1 to 10, how like yourself do you feel lately? So 1, I'm not really feeling myself lately. 5 in the middle, you're on autopilot. You're just cruising. And then number 10, you fully aligned. This means that you are completely aware, you are centered, you are 100% connected with your values, and you are fully aligned. So there's no right or wrong answer to this. This is just a baseline test. I just want you to just find the spot where you feel you fit in right now. I'm gonna give about 10 seconds.
Yeah. JB, while they are doing that, I like the word aware that you actually mentioned there, which means we can override the autopilot thoughts, and we can start changing our thoughts if we are aware of them. Hey,
that's 100% correct. Most of the times you are not aware of what's underneath your foot or on your shoe when you walk around. And only if you step in the dog's poo and you climb in the car, then you become very aware of what's underneath your shoe, and then you make a plan to get rid of it. And it's that same concept. Like, every day you walk around, you never think of looking underneath your shoe ever. But the moment you smell that smell, then you're like, oh, I'm now very aware. And it's the same. And maybe that's a good way to think about it. Like, does it stink? Like, does the reaction that is your autopilot stinking? Is it time to check underneath your shoe? I don't know. We'll find out as we go through the program. Yeah. So there's 3 levers or levers of the self, and we've divided into soul, mind, and body. And soul is our values. So that's your compass. So who am I when it really matters? So what are my values? And then we look at the mind, and the mind is the narrator. That's the person that's telling the story. What I believe about what just happened. So something happened, and then the mind creates the story or my reality of what I just experienced. And then we've got the body. So that's the one that likes the habits. That's the one that goes onto that autopilot, just the default. That's our default program. So in order for the self to be changed or to start implementing change and get awareness, we also need to remember that for this to work, we work from the inside out, and values set direction, and then the mind interprets this journey, and then the body starts taking the steps into the new value that we've set, and then starts concreting it into the mind. Louis, you can attach your view on this for me, please.
Yes. Thanks, JP. Yeah, so I think if you look at spirit, soul, and body, there are 2 types of spirits which influence our soul dimension, and we are those 3 parts. The Word of God says it. So it is either the Holy Spirit with the good fruits, as mentioned in Galatians 5:22 and 23, or other spirits. And if we look at the soul dimension, the soul is our thoughts, our emotions, and that's where our free will lies. So we've got that. If we are aware of it, we can make a good decision, and that decision is going to influence what we say and what we do. So in other words, our habits.
Yes, very, very, very correct. And in values, if we look at it from a biblical standpoint, what does it say about values?
Yeah, so if you look at, if you want to compare to good values biblically, there are so many. You're looking at righteousness, being in right standing. I mean, if you look at the 10 commandments, that's all about values, what to do and what
Yes,
not to do. And then obviously the fruit of the Spirit, love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, gentleness, faithfulness, self-control, and it comes back to the one single rule which says treat others as you want to be treated, and
yes,
so we need to check our minds, because we don't always filter our thoughts, JP, and we are not everything that we think, and that's where our identity sometimes becomes a false identity. So if we can start filtering our thoughts and say, but this is not part of my value system, this is not who I am created to be, or who I am becoming,
yeah,
then I can reject those thoughts, which is
yes,
quite powerful.
yes. And I think that false identity is something that we can very easily assume because of autopilot, and because
Mm.
of the awareness that it takes to say, no, this is not according to my value. I'm not going to continue with this. So when we look at values, values are our inner compass. So they are the non-negotiables behind your best self. So the easiest way for you to build your identity is to look at yourself and then to imagine the best you that you can possibly be. So if you have to close your eyes right now and you have to look at a future you that's everything that you would want in life, want to be in life, all of that. What is that person that you see? And then it's very easy to go from that person and to say, what values does future me had to implement and live in order to be that? Because it's not possible to be that super future amazing you if you are not living, breathing, and being those values. And so, in other words, assume the position of future you and what it
Yeah.
takes to be future you, to get the compass and to get the alignment. And once you've got that, write it down. Write down the values that you see in future you, in the most optimal, best, amazing you that you can be. What is that? What is the value system of that person? And then the moment we have misalignment is when your actions contradict your values. So that is like saying, one of my values is to be healthy, and all I'm going to go do is I'm going to eat junk food and all the sweets and carbonated drinks that I can. So now my values and my actions aren't matching, and this is going to cause misalignment because my value now was I want to be healthy, but in 3 months' time I'm not going to be healthy if I keep on doing that, and that's going to cause a misalignment, and it causes a lot of times. How can I can say it in a way of disappointment, and then we start lowering the value because it feels too much, and then we get almost a downgrade in the identity. So how strong can you stand for the value that you've set, and how strong do you believe in that future you that you've seen living these values? And Louis, I don't know if there's something you would like to add here.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like the word speaks a lot about producing fruit, sowing certain seeds. So we sow these valuable seeds, and they
Yes,
don't come overnight. They
yeah,
have to go through a process. They have to go through a season of nourishment, and that means keeping yourself in certain groups of people, associating with certain people, reading up about certain things, actually studying these values that you want to implement in your life, reading
yes,
books. And so it happens over time because our minds need to be changed. Those paths need to be, created. And the
Yes.
mind is actually it wants to protect us, JP. So it
Yes.
doesn't want to get us in any kind of danger zone. So you need
Yep.
to really get it on board and say, but look, this is going to be good for us.
Yes.
Let's try this together. Else your mind will, it'll lie to you, and then you're going to
Uh,
start believing. So we have to filter our thoughts. And I think the compass is really, it's such a good example of the values, because it keeps you in the right direction.
yep. So we talk about the reticular activating system, and to add on to what you've said now is, so the RAS, we call it RAS, and that means where your focus is what where your thoughts are is what you're going to start seeing. So that's a reticular. So you're going to start seeing that, and then you're going to start acting on that system. Because if I want to see something bad, that is what I'm going to start seeing, and my focus is going to go there. So when you have this future you, this amazing you that you are looking up to, and you want to be those values, it's great to assume what that person would think and see,
Mm.
to help you see and think like that future you would. Otherwise, it's going to steer you off the path that you want to change towards. And a reticular activating system is the typical red car story that a lot of people know. Like, if someone
Yeah.
tells you, or like, when last have you seen a red car? The moment you get into the car and you start driving home, you automatically you start looking for a red car. So that's your RAS. Now it's set into, like, I can't believe I haven't noticed that I haven't seen a red car. Now you start looking. You never saw all the red cars because it wasn't something particularly interesting for your mind or your brain. But now, because someone said it, now you start seeing it. And the same goes for values. Once you start living that value, you start seeing those values in the situations and the places and the things and everything that you do. And that can cause a big drive behind the identity that you are reforming and rewriting. But the RAS is also very bad, because the RAS can also help you stay in autopilot
Mm.
because of where it's set into. So for us to keep an eye on that, really, really super important. So the following
Awesome.
exercise is an alignment audit. So this is just for you to figure out a little bit, like, where's the gaps, and where's your value direction at the current state. So firstly, we're going to look at which value have you been betraying without realizing. So the viewers, just take like 10-15 seconds and just think about this, like actively think about which value that you know or thought has been a value have you been betraying lately without realizing. I'm going to use the healthy one because it's like a very general and a very easy way to understand it. It's like, so I'm saying I want to be healthy, but how many times have I let slide on that? Like, oh, I'll have the pizza tonight, or I'm going to go get the takeaway, or, mm, I find reasons why I shouldn't apply that value. Something like that.
Yeah, I like what you're saying, JP. And you also mentioned that atomic habits. If we really are living out and believe our true identity, it's going to be easier for us to say no to, you know, bad
Yes.
habits. Because, for an example, a athlete doesn't eat fatty foods. It's just
No.
how it is. And if you believe you're an athlete, then it's just a no. It's an easier, kind of decision to make.
Yes.
And I think that's really important to then know and believe. You have to believe that
Yep.
this is the person who you are, what you stand for, and who you are becoming, because we are constantly, going through
Evolving.
seasons, changing, and our identity is hopefully maturing. Yeah.
Yes, yes. And identity should be seen as a thing that is always changeable and it's always developing. I don't think
Mm,
your identity should ever stay fixed. I think it should always
mm,
be developing, and hopefully you are developing it into the highest being that you can be. So which value right now, if you have to practice that value for the next 7 days, would change everything? So maybe you're in a place where you feel like, I'm going to use the healthy one again as an example, like I would like to be living more healthy. So look at your life right now and think, okay, what value, if I change that for the next 7 days and I actively think about that one thing, what is it that I can change and what value can I change to change everything? So if you are unhealthy and you say, okay, I'm living unhealthy, I want to live healthier. So then you, right now, you know how to live unhealthy. Basically, you're a pro at living unhealthy. You are the best you of living unhealthy that you can be. So you are the best person to know what you need to change to not be the unhealthy person anymore. So what value would that be? And would you be able to do just one value for the next 7 days? And see yourself in the future in 7 days' time. What would have changed and how would you feel if you accomplished that for the past 7 days? What's the outcome? The next one, what boundary protects that value? So a lot of times with values, we don't set boundaries. So, and that just means maybe you're not really strong in that value, and that's why it's a little bit bendable. So I think that's something different for everyone, but something to think of and something to take note of. So that's why we're doing this alignment audit. And then the last one, what is one small action that proved this value today? So if I can do one small action every day, it proves to me that I've executed on that value. Okay. So this is the difficult one. The difficult one for us to grasp, and I think that's why a lot of times it's also difficult to see a situation out of another person's perspective, is because of this. So identity is a story you repeat. So I would see an event, I would attach meaning to it, and I would attach the meaning of that event to myself. So if it was a good thing that happened, I would add it to myself, and it aligned with my value. It would build character, it would build identity. If it's got negative meaning, it's gonna break on self and it's gonna break on identity. But now the problem is, Louis, me and you can stand in the same room and we can watch the same thing happen, and we're going to have different attachment to what just happened. And the biggest part of that is, where are my values and where am I in identity? So what is the effect going to be on me? For me, we might see someone, we might be standing on the side of a riverbank, and there would be guys floating past with tubes, and there's guys standing on the side of the river, and they're throwing rocks at the guys on the tubes. And we're standing on the other side. And now we're looking at this. And where Louis is standing, he can see the guys are throwing the guys on the tube with a rock. So what are you going to be thinking, Louis?
Yeah, they're crazy. What's happening?
Yes. But now maybe I'm standing, or where I'm standing, I can see that there's a waterfall like 300 meters from here. So I realize, oh, they're throwing the rocks to warn them that there's a waterfall. And my truth is like, those guys are being helpful. Louis' truth is like, wow, what nasty people are they? Like throwing these people with rocks. So same situation, just a different understanding of one extra thing that I may have known in the situation makes me see the same situation a little bit differently. And that's why Facebook comments are always a lovely thing if you see certain videos, because everyone has a different perspective and a different meaning because of that same reason of where they are and what they know. And attached to what they know, they attach meaning, and then that builds their character or their identity. So this is a very, very interesting thing. And I think if you in family, it's a great way to apply, can I say, coherent thinking, so that there's like a value alignment in the family, which would not always, but most of the times, be more or less the same meaning to everyone, but not always.
Yeah,
And that can help with self, and it can help with the family unit, if I can put it like that. But
yeah.
yeah, interesting attachment. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we all have past experiences, and sometimes it triggers event triggers some kind of emotion or trauma, and it's already this movie screen that's playing, and you like the perspective you're projecting on it. But if
Yes.
we can, in that moment, then say, but okay, but what is the truth now? And just take everything in consideration to make the best decision. And that's how
Yes.
we start overriding this autopilot slowly but surely.
Perfect. Perfect. So optimism is an explanation style. So we've got two ways of looking at the situation. We've got the victim lens, and this is a thought pattern that we would say, why is this happening to me? And this is a narrative of damage. So obviously, those people would not understand why something's happening to them, or it's only happening to them because. So it's a very victim side. And then we've got the growth lens, that is, what is this training me? And that creates a narrative of development. So if something goes wrong, you can be like, oh, another thing going wrong. Nothing goes right for me. That would be your victim lens. The growth lens would be like, okay, it didn't work out as I planned, but what is it in the situation that I can learn from, or that I can improve to not have the same outcome? There's two different ways of looking at something, and it's going to create two completely different endpoints. One is going to be away from, and one is going to be towards. And your growth lens is a more towards thinking style, or explanation style, which will determine the identity that you're going to reinforce. So, are you going to improve, or are you going to step back? And we just spoke. You just spoke about trauma, Louis.
Mm.
So the same thing here. Like, what effect will trauma have if you are in a victim lens, and what effect would trauma have if you are in a growth lens? Yeah.
Yeah, I think that identity, you can choose yourself out of that situation. If you choose to never give up, if you say that you are someone who will persevere, that speaks
Yes.
to your identity. And if you look at any baby, they didn't stop trying to walk. It's
No.
something that there's not a baby that I've heard of that stopped just at crawling. It's something that we all learned, and it's a place where we get to our identity and say, but okay, no, I give up now. I'm
Yes.
a and so, but if you say that I'm a learner, I can learn from this, I'm an optimist. And it's like Nelson Mandela says, either I win or I learn. you know
Yes.
so what can I learn from this, so next time it comes, I can deal with it better. And also we can learn from other people's mistakes, which is
Yes.
if you're teachable and you are a learner, if that's one of your identity characteristics, then you will always be able to learn from other people's mistake and advance times two.
Yes. Yes. It's very, 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 very important to be open to learning. That's what we said when we started this discussion. Was like, these are things that we read up on a lot. We study them, and when you do a workshop, you still learn. You still
Hmm.
learn something new. You still hear a different approach, or a different thought pattern, and you're like, wow, that makes more sense than what I knew made sense to me. For
Yeah.
example, So I love it. You must always be open-minded to hear, try and understand, and then apply your mind, your values. And I think that's, for me personally, I like doing that, and then it's a good way of finding compass and guidance. So here's a little exercise, and we're going to name the narrator. So we identify a recent challenge that you went through, and then we're going to just build on what we see on the screen. So lately, what happened? Have you experienced anything that has triggered you? So just think of something that has triggered you within, let's say, it could have been today, it could have been past month, anything that triggered you. And then when you think of that, I would like you to think of the lie that your mind told you when you got triggered like that. So an example would be, I did something at work and it didn't really work out as I planned, and it like triggers me, it frustrates me. And then what the lie could be, like, yo, I always fail. Nothing I try works. Like that would be the lie that I'm telling myself. And this is the identity conclusion. That means that's the conclusion that my identity jumps to, and what my identity is thinking of what I'm doing. So you're so frustrated that didn't work. I'm never get anything right. That's my narrator lying to me. So, and we can reprogram the mind, and we can reprogram the narrator to give us a different message. So if you're gonna have that same frustration, that same thing, that same failure, and you go like, I failed this time, but you know what? This is what I'm gonna adjust, and I'll try it again. Or I failed again, but I'll just find another way to try and implement this. So what are small daily proofs that can compound when you get triggered, or when you feel something that's not really your way? What narrative can you apply to make that you are in the better position, and that you are closer to that future self that you have in your mind? Is it aligning? And if this is not aligning, what can what can the narrator tell me so that I can align this? Because
Yeah,
your
I
mind
like
doesn't
that.
know the difference
Sorry,
between
JP.
between a lie and the truth. It doesn't know the difference.
No. No, that's the
Yeah.
thing, your subconscious mind
Yes.
doesn't operate in that. It doesn't know a dream and reality. But it's interesting you're speaking about lies, because the Word of God
Yes.
says that the enemy is the father of lies, and
There we
he
go.
comes and deceives our identity. That's his main job. And if we look at 2 Corinthians 10 verse 5, it says we need to capture every thought and make it obedient to Christ, to the truth, because the truth will set you free. And so that's exactly that. Who are we really created, and are we wearing any masks? And
That's true.
these masks are the lies that we need to. If we can identify a mask, it's not a bad thing,
No.
but you have to take action then and apply the truth to that, and then we can cancel the lie.
And this might be a difficult question, but do you think that there are times or places in your life where you need to wear a mask? What do you think, Louis?
Yeah, I think sometimes we want to fit in so badly. So people pleasing is one thing that
Yeah.
we do so easy. Fitting in, peer pressure, especially at school. And then we forget that we actually wear a mask, and that becomes our identity. But I do
Yes.
believe that God has set us apart. He's made us unique, each one, and your identity will always be in line with your calling and your purpose. So
Yes.
if you are wearing a mask, if you're living someone else's identity, you can't walk
Yes.
out your calling and your purpose.
No. No. not at all. And on that topic, this is now a side note of what we're speaking about. It's like, if you are a parent, do not try and give them the identity, and try and give your children the identity that you
Yes.
never had, or you could never have been. Because then at the end of the day, are they living their true identity, or are they living your identity? And what are the repercussions of letting a child live an identity that they are not? And when would you be faced with that repercussion? Would it
Sure.
be in teenage years? Would it be after school, when they leave school? Would the effect be on your relationship with your child if you had to do that? It's just a thought. It's just a thought.
Yeah, very good. Good question.
Just a
And
question to think of. Yeah.
we spoke about this, and I think if it's not a relationship where you can be yourself, you know,
Mhm.
obviously values, boundaries are important, but you have to let that child become who they are created to be. Then you will get rejection later. You will get rebellion later. You will get emotional trauma, which said, but I could never do this and I could never do that. So
Yes.
just be clear. These are the rules, these are our values, and we are doing them to protect you, but you've got freedom to live as you've been created to.
Yes. Yes. And also, I'm not saying do not guide your children. Guide your children, very important, but do
Mm.
not live your missed identity through them.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So exercise. This is the identity habit. So this is how we're gonna create a habit to work on that identity that we want to achieve, and what we're slowly going to be changing. Um, so what is that identity that I want? So here I've used identity. I'm a runner. So remember, this is the identity, the future you, the future person that you see. So who is that? Okay. So in this case, it's I'm a runner. Okay. So what would be the value of wanting to become a runner? So the value for me would be, because I want to have vitality. I want to be healthy. I want to have the health benefits, and I would like to be healthy when I'm older. Okay. So then we're going to set up a 2-minute proof. So the 2-minute proof will be, I'll put on my shoes, and this is something. This proof that you're installing here must be something that you are able to do even on a bad day, even if you're not feeling your best. Okay, and the reason for it being 2 minutes, I know you can put on your shoes. If you're like me, you leave the laces tied and you just go shoop shoop, and your feet are in. And there you go. Okay, but the
Yeah.
reason for that is it's the conscious part of putting on my shoes. Okay, so right now, for the viewers watching as well, every morning when you wake up, I can almost guarantee it. When you put your pants on, you put a certain leg in the hole that it needs to go first. Every morning you'll put the same left leg in the same left trouser. What do you call it? Hole, whatever you want to call it. So it's autopilot. Every day you brush your teeth with the same hand. So we want to break the autopilot, and that's why we are implementing a 2-minute proof that is actively letting you think about what you are doing. So physically putting on your shoes, tying the knots, and if you want, even switch it up on the side that you choose every morning. Okay.
Mm.
Then the cue for this, when I'm going to do this 2-minute proof, what is going to be my cue? Okay, so it's going to be after I brush my teeth. This is a good cue because Otherwise, you've left the home without brushing your teeth. So do something and place it at a point in your routine or wherever, so where you have to, after you've done this, this is when we're going to start with the 2-minute proof. So in this identity habit ladder, it would be, I see myself as a runner. The value on that is I value vitality. I want to be healthy. And after I brush my teeth, I'm going to put on my shoes, my running shoes, because I want to start running or walking. That's how I'm going to become that runner. So my cue is after I brush my teeth. So now we've got this plan, and then we've got a bad day, and then we go like, I'm not gonna run today. I don't feel like it. I haven't. Yesterday was bad, and today I just don't feel like it. Those are the danger zones, because they break the new habit that we're trying to form on the value that we're trying to set for the future us that we're trying to be. So what can you do to make this cue unavoidable? So for us, it would be, we want to be a runner, we're going to do it for vitality, we're going to brush our teeth, and then we're going to put on our shoes and run. So a way in that example would be to put the shoes by the basin on the ground, not in the basin, but on the ground with where you brush your teeth, so that you see the shoes while you brush your teeth, just to help you on those bad days. And yes, there are going to be days where you are brushing your teeth and you're looking at those shoes and you're thinking, not today, boys. So not today. I'm not putting you on. It's okay. Because remember what we said, the nervous system knows familiar. And the moment it feels unsafe is when we start changing something, and then it wants to go back to autopilot. Because it wants to go back to autopilot, we need to say, we are the pilot and we need to do that. And then we try and implement these plans so that we can get back. But, okay, it was now a really bad day. It was raining outside. It was cold, even though it was middle of the summer and there was only one cloud outside. In your mind, your perception, that's what it was. So you decided, there's no way, I'm not going to run. That's what you tell everyone at work. You're not going to go run. So your recovery day would be, I say my rule is 48 hours. If I've missed it today, the quickest I need tomorrow, I need to restart and redo this whole shebang. If I take longer than 2 days, 48 hours, I'm going to start losing. I'm going to start losing this habit. I'm not going to build on this value, and I'm not going to achieve that end goal and future me that I want to be. So what is your protocol going to be? Create this protocol and say, if I skip, I will what the next day? I used the example this weekend where I said, this is not typically when you drive over a red robot and you say, I'll stop twice tomorrow. It's like this. So if I skip, I will the next day. So I will be strict on my way, in my way. If I have to be this runner, I want to start running. This is my value, and I'm going to start doing this. If I skip, I will run or walk an extra 500 meters tomorrow. So that the pain and the suffering that comes with if I don't do it is actually not worth it. Just go and do it. And but that's my way. That is how I would do it. So make the habit, touch mind, your journaling, do your body exercises, do your movement, or apply gratitude. So I'm grateful so that I can put on my shoes and go run in the morning. Obviously, the walking part is the body part, and the mind is journaling. Write down, wow, today in 30 minutes I did 200 meters further, or I did the same distance in 30 seconds quicker. It's good for your mind to see these type of wins and these type of effects, because think of it. If you think of something that you've actually got right and you think about it, just thinking about it can cause a smile on your face and can cause an uplift. And that is what we're trying to rewire. We're working on the neural pathways and the neuroplasticity of the mind to create this new value and to create this new I almost want to be naughty and use the word autopilot, but that is what it is going to become. That value is going to become the new autopilot, and that is essentially what we want to achieve. We want to rewrite that autopilot.
Yeah, it's
Yes,
evidence for your subconscious mind. So every time you confirm, I did something, I advanced, I achieved this, I'm feeling
yes,
better. I got a compliment from someone.
yes.
It's evidence for yourself to say, but this is actually doable. This is a new truth.
There
Let
we go.
me push it a little bit further, and like you say, it becomes uh, what you believe. It becomes who you are, and then you just automatically start doing it.
That's true. That's true. So this is a little downshift system. So a lot of times it can get overwhelming when we try and create this new identity and this change. It can become a little bit overwhelming. So this is a guided practice that you can do, or we'll do it quickly. It's we want to inhale for 4 seconds, nice and deep, and then you're going to exhale for 6 seconds. And this is something that we want to repeat for 6 rounds. And then while you are doing this breathing, I need you to visualize and see that tomorrow you living the value that you are busy improving. And that's all you need to see while you breathe, is you see that tomorrow you living that value. And then you want to anchor it by placing it in your right hand and then putting it on your chest after the breathing exercise. And then say to yourself, I return to, and remember we said the value was vitality in our example. And it would be, I place it back into myself and I say, I return to vitality. Just to anchor that feeling of future pacing, where we want to be and what we want to be. Okay. So a long exhale signifies safety to the body. When you think to, if you've had a long day or whatever, and you come home to your significant other and you hug them or whatever, you almost automatically have this like, this exhale, and that exhale is a way of the body feeling safe. So this is all we're trying to create with this downshift in the system. Yeah. Louis, would you like to add anything here?
Yeah, I think to have this crystal clear goal of what we want to achieve, it's amazing. But the fruit is produced in the steps that we take on the way to the goal. And
Yes.
those, the simpler we can make them, the easier we can make them. Like you say, put everything ready. Almost don't give yourself uh, and a chance to find an excuse.
Yes.
And so the better we can start designing even our days, how we're going to operate and the steps we take, and make them simple. Don't try and become a public speaker in a day.
No.
This is a process that needs to a little bit of exposure, yeah, and they read up and get feedback from people,
That's
and
true.
get accountability partners. Accountability partners are very helpful, especially if you're going to disappoint someone by not putting on your shoes today. That is really a big help. And just the last thing from my side, JP, again, it's been so helpful. But I think identity is not the function that we do. It's more something like the character that gets built in us
Oh,
and the values that we become and we live out to people. And so, yeah, it's really amazing that we, with these small little changes,
yes.
Proverbs 4:23 says, be careful what you think, because your thoughts run your life. So
Yeah.
here we learn that we can start changing every little thought. And if we can change a thought, we can change a decision, we can change a
Yes.
habit. And we start creating our habits. Our habits start creating us, as Dr. Gustav Gauss says. So it's
Yeah.
amazing. it's just a choice. We've got that free will to do it.
Perfect. I 100% agree with what you just said. That is what we think is what we believe is what we achieve, and it's what we do. Yeah, 100%. So this is a 1 week practice. So it's just one practice. It's like a small contract that you write to yourself. It's a good thing you can stick it up against the wall or anything like that. So you write, this is a commitment contract. And this week I practiced the identity of, in our case, it would be a runner, by putting on my shoes after I brush my teeth. So inserting the cue, inserting the 2-minute proof, and inserting the identity. And then, just like Louis just said, you want to share this with your friends, and you want to share this with someone, an accountability partner, because it's a good way, because that person knows they need to, tomorrow morning, most likely they're going to ask you, so did you go for your run? Did you go do XYZ? And then we like, so it's better to have that accountability from someone. Okay, so now our last slide, this is our last, we'll be ending with this. So in order to create an identity reset, so you don't need a new personality, you just need a new practice. You just need to practice something else over and over and over to become, to create a new autopilot and to rewrite the system. So soul, we've said now, is your value. So today I embody. What is it that you embody? And then for the mind, remember we said the mind is the narrator. It's the one that tells the story. And the narrator says, what? The truth is this. So the narrator, so in our case, let's start, the soul is value. So today I embody vitality. My mind, the story, the narrator says, I'm not healthy right now. The truth is, I will be healthy in 6 months' time. My body, that's my small action. That's my 2-minute proof. So my smallest action is putting on my shoes daily after I brush my teeth. And that is how you start resetting that identity. And you read this every day, twice a day if you need to, but you need to see it so that you can start embodying that change and that vision that you have for the future you and the future you that you want to be. So I say it again, for the last time, is you do not need a new personality. Changing your identity, or working, let's rather say working on your identity, is not a new personality. It's just, what am I looking at now, and what would I like to be looking at instead? And how is that, if I change what I look at now, how does that look in a year from now, in 6 months from now, in a week from now, like even within 3 days from now? Because you can make small changes more regularly towards a bigger picture. But yes, you do not need a new personality. You just need a new practice. And practice makes what?
Yeah, perfect.
Practice makes perfect. So
I think, the word says that faith comes by hearing, and hearing
yes,
by the word of God. That stuff that we hear ourselves say the whole time. And also, life and death is in the power of the tongue. So if we speak these truths, if we really speak them, we see them the whole time, they are going to become our truth, and we are going to become the truth.
the truth. Yes, very, very well said. Very, very well said. So let me just close this one. There we go. Cool. So guys, thank you so much for watching and being part. Take this, go do it on a rewatch by yourself when you've got time. Go through those exercises. Think about what we spoke about. Think about what is your values. Are they aligning? Think about the future you and who you want to be, and how that person looks and acts and thinks and feels. And that's going to give you guidance to find that value, because maybe someone watching right now is not sure even what their values are. So if you're not sure what your values are, the best way is to look at who you would like to be in the future and what does that person embody, and what is the spirit telling that person to become. Yeah.
Sure, yeah. JP, thank you so much. It's again the last comment from me. The last comment is John 8, verse 12 says, Jesus said that I'm the light of the world, and whoever follows me will never walk in darkness. So if we use the Bible as our value compass and scriptures, which is the truth, there will always be good fruit.
Very true. Very, very, very true. Thank you, Louis. Thank you for that great message to end this live with. I really appreciate it. Thank you guys for watching. And if you've got any questions, feel free to send me or Louis a message, and we will get back to you. Well, I want to say as soon as we can, but we're definitely going to answer your questions. Feel free to comment on the video if you'd like. But if you can call us, our numbers are available. I'll actually make a thing that our numbers can show on the screen in the future, and you guys can contact us, and we can set up a session and discuss a few things. So cool, Louis. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you everyone for watching. We'll see you next week Wednesday for a new chat. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
All right.